Okay. All right, so everyone can see my screen. What I've done is I've gone ahead and I've set myself up as if I were a parent webmaster so that you will see exactly on my screen what you would be seeing when you log in to go to your chapter website. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Anybody who doesn't already have a username and a password to the alumni site, I will be distributing. I'll sort of help you get set up on that. I think a few of you do have your own username and password, but it looks like Jolene and Brian, neither of you have actually set up a username and password yet. So I'll make sure I get you guys all set up for that after the session. But what you're going to do is you're just going to go in and log in like you would into any other website. I created a fake user for this purpose, but and then you'll see once you've logged in, or once I've logged in, I have all of these additional options that appear sort of at the top of the screen. I'm going to go straight to one of the chapters right now. I'll go to the, let's see, we'll go to the Texas Lone Star chapter. And here you'll see that I don't actually have any content in here, but I have built out a sort of skeleton of the site. And this is what any of the chapters that had their own website already, I went ahead and built out sort of a larger skeleton of the site, whereas chapters who didn't have any web presence at the moment, I believe it's Greater New York. Right, so Greater New York chapters, I went ahead and just built, so any of the chapters who didn't have a web presence already, I just built a generic sort of a one-page chapter site. But obviously, what I'll show you today is, so for Jolene, this page right here, this area is completely modifiable and adjustable. So, and that's what you'll learn today. But for the sites that were already up and running, I kind of gave them a little bit more of a skeletal structure, but all of this is very easily modified. So I'm going to actually go back to the Texas Lone Star chapter since I have most of these areas are set up here already. And I'm just going to start from the top. What you'll notice when you log in is you'll see all of these tabs here along the top. The only one that you have any access to is this content one. You'll see if you were to click on community, this generic screen will come up. I'm not giving you any access to anything. Whereas if you're on the content, all of these options here are available to you. I'm going to skip over the sitemap for the moment, and I'm going to go straight to the new page option. Sure. I just
want to make sure you're recording, right?
I am recording, yes. Let me double check and make sure. Yes, it's recording. Okay. So I'm going to skip over the sitemap for the moment, and I'm just going to go straight to, so say, I'm the Texas Lone Star chapter webmaster, and this is what I've been given as the skeleton site. But say you want to add a page that has to do primarily with, let's see, a swab picnic, and you want to have one whole page devoted just to details about an upcoming swab, summer picnic. You would go straight to the new page drop-down, and if you want that page to be a content-based page, you would select content block, and you just click on it. And at this moment, you're creating that new page. So you're going to give it a title. Let's just say Summer Swab Picnic, Picnic 2011. And at the moment, I would say not to make the page live, just go straight to the page and work on it before you actually make it live. So you would click go to the page and click the little green arrow, and it brings you to this page that you've just created. And you can do this for the other sort of page options, which would be a news listing option, which I'll talk about in a minute, as well as an event calendar listing. So, I've already built out an event page for the Texas chapter, but if you wanted to add a different event page, you could do that very easily by doing it straight from here. So for instance, the Greater New York chapter, which currently doesn't have an events page, you could just build it out right here. Now page properties is going to tell you, no matter what page you're on, it's going to tell you a variety of things about the page. For instance, the page title. It allows you to enter any meta tags or meta description that you'd like about the page. So if you want people to be able, to find your page in like a Google search or whatnot, you could go in and, and say Texas, Lone Star, chapter, swabs, or something like that. I mean, it's totally up to you, but it gives you an area to sort of tag your page in search engines. I would avoid the audience area. You'll never have to worry about any of this. This has to deal with people logging into your site. If you find that you want to have a password protected area of your site, let me know and I'll work with you on coming up with a solution for it. But in the meantime, just assume that every content page on your site you want to be viewed by everybody. So I would just leave it alone. Now here is where you'll see the other options for the page. Display text, which is, I believe, I've never actually messed around with this, but I believe it actually changes what's displayed right here. So if for some reason you wanted to change, the text for right here, you could change that here. If you want the link to be redirected to a completely different website, so say you already have some kind of an event page that you've built somewhere else, or if there's some other website that you'd like the link to go to, you can just cut and paste the link right into here, and when someone would click on, you'll see in a minute, they'd go to that other website. In this case, excluding this page from navigation is why it's still hidden. So if you're working on a page and you're not sure, you want it to be live yet, you can leave this checked. However, if you're fine with whatever you've done to the page, you can uncheck it and then click Save. And you'll see when the page refreshes that's been added to your navigation now as an option. Now, content modules are the variety of modules that you can pull into your page. Most of the time, you're only going to be using content blocks, which is exactly what this little area is here, is where you're going to enter and edit content. The other options would be pulling in a news listing or an event calendar. And every chapter has their own news listing and event calendar for your own use. On the Texas Lone Star chapter page, I've already pulled those feeds into the news page. So this is a news feed here. And I've done the same thing with the events feed. I've pulled in the Texas Lone Star chapter events feed. Oops. Hold on here. Into that page. I'm not sure why it's making me log in there, but I'll research that here in a minute. So let's go just back to this page that we've just created. And I'm going to go over the content block, because this is going to be the one thing that you're going to be using the most. And it's basically a WYSIWYG screen, so what you see is what you get. Again, this is the title for the content block area. Once you start filling in content here, this title doesn't actually matter. So once you start putting in content, so we'll just do test content. You'll see if I save it, what used to say, Summer Swab Picnic 2011, which is the content name here, it'll be replaced by the actual content that you type in. So you don't have to ever really worry about the content name. I actually never pay any attention to it myself. Again, here's another area where you can set the audience specifically for this content block. Again, nothing you'll ever have to worry about, so you can just skip right over it. Let's see. Now here is what you're going to be using most often, which is the content editor area. This is where you're going to be typing in text. So in this case, Swab Summer Picnic. I keep spelling that wrong. 2011, August 22nd. Whatever information you want to put in here, content-wise, just type it in and it'll look the way you want it to look. You can change the font.